Hi, I'm the Imperial Mince and welcome to the first episode of Popcorn Nightmares. This week I'll be looking at the upcoming The Thing prequel.
We estimate it's been here 100,000 years.
That's not possible.
Let me start by saying The Thing ranks among my favourite films of all time. It's a grotesque vision of nightmarish ghouls set against an unforgiving landscape and wrapped up in the right amount of paranoia and tension.
Somebody in this camp ain't what he appears to be. Right now, that may be one or two of us. By spring, it could be all of us.
So how do we know who's human?
And though I'm largely open to the idea of some kind of continuation of the franchise, I've approached this particular prequel with some caution. At first glance, the idea of a prequel to The Thing seemed largely redundant to me since Carpenter's film had already provided the answer as to what had happened to the Norwegian crew, since the exact same fate befalls their American counterparts in Outpost 31.
Either someone miraculously healed themselves, or someone is not who they say they are. Not all of us are human.
I know I'm human. And if you were all these things, then you'd just attack me right now. So some of you are still human.
But I do understand that they're trying to re-establish this franchise by taking it back to its roots. However, when the trailer came out, it became more clear to me that what we were looking at was technically a remake. It appears to be hitting all the same beats but with none of the class, taking its redundancy to a whole new level. But they can at least get the monsters right? Right?
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Early in production, when the filmmakers and the special effects crew, that'll be ADI, the men who turned aliens into a Pumpkinhead clone, began talking of how the effects would be 90% practical and 10% digital, I took some flack on various message boards for reminding folks that we've been through this sort of bullshit fan pandering from filmmakers and studios before. I went on to say that the film's biggest hurdle effects-wise would be with the filmmakers and whether or not they'd lose faith and simply CG scan the practical creatures they already had. Looking at the latest Red Band trailer, that exact scenario appears to be the case. And once more, another fanbase is up in arms because they've been lied to again. Now, I'm not one of those people who automatically dismisses any use of CGI, and I think many films have shown that the practice has more than its fair share of uses. But not one CGI monster shot from any of the current trailers or clips has me sold on its use in this film so far. Nor has any monster shot come close to the amazing work from Rob Bottin and Stan Winston in the Carpenter original. Now if you take this, and then look at this, I know which one I find more horrific, and it certainly isn't the one with the CGI sheen. So the effects themselves so far just look like average CGI work, and probably for the reason that it would have been extremely difficult to execute the creature practically, especially because it appears they've changed its attitude from being a stealthy imitator of men and women moving in the dark and assimilating those it catches alone, to a more action-orientated and generic horror monster willing to expose itself to attack people in their groups. And I guess that's part of the problem for me. Here we have a creature known for creeping in the dark, and yet we're being shown it acting completely out of character, attacking groups of individuals without being provoked, and essentially bum-rushing its victims in clear view of others. And for what? A couple of cheap scares, it appears. Talking of cheap scares, let's move on to this clip.
Jeez!
Screw you, man. Son of a...
What we're seeing here is the creature bursting from its icy coffin and through the roof in direct view of one of the camp's individuals. This is not later in the film when the group has been whittled away, or when the creature is making a desperate effort to assimilate an individual after being found out. This is how we're introduced to the creature, not as a methodical, airy presence that roams freely throughout the compound, but as a mindless monster that simply explodes onto the screen. These are the types of actions that simply wouldn't have took place in Carpenter's film. Wouldn't it have been scarier if the creature escaped silently, much like when it attempts to take over Bennings in Carpenter's film? It simply lies in wait for its moment alone with the character, moving slowly and cautiously. There are no loud noises, screams, or even signs of a struggle on the same magnitude as shown in that MTV clip. What if the characters return to the ice block the following day to find it mysteriously empty? That way it would have also had a whole night to silently assimilate anyone it finds alone. But instead the creature just bursts out the ice like, fuck y'all, I'm out of this motherfucker. Some have argued that this change in attitude adds another layer to the creature by suggesting it adapts its mode of approach with each attack. Nonetheless, this is a largely uninteresting way of finding out how the creature mentally evolves to its threat. What would be interesting is to compare how it acts in the isolated Outpost 31 to how it would in a more densely populated area, as in Frank Darabont's failed The Thing miniseries that had the creature loose in an American town. Instead, the filmmakers are offering us the same situation with similar people in the same place at around the same time. But it's not a remake. Honest.
I just cannot believe any of this voodoo bullshit.
Now, I know this is more of a review of the advertising campaign than it is of the final film. But looking at this trailer campaign, it seems to me that the filmmakers simply have no idea what made Carpenter's film special, and that they're willing to give away so many of the film's potential twists, like in who the creature is hiding. You know, exactly the kind of paranoia-inducing mystery that made the original work so well. It's a telling sign, indeed. I guess what I'm really trying to say is, if this is all Universal have to offer us, then in the words of McCready himself,
yeah, fuck you too!